Hey everybody, Man in Orbit here. I'm a player on the EQ2 Origins server, Anashti Sul, and I wanted to start a new series today, Christmas Day, where we look at the issues facing the server and how it relates to questing and raiding. As many of you probably have seen me spamming general chat looking for raiders, serve as the team staff raid lead in the guild sword and staff, and I believe that puts me in a unique position where I can monitor the forums, monitor guild discords, the official discord, and give you guys, the general player, updates that let you best experience the content the game has to offer when it is fixed and working and everybody can have a good time with it. As many of you know, on December 10th, Echoes of Fadewar went live on Anashti Sul with a whole bunch of new content for all of us to experience. It was an exciting time, marred with some bugs, and we'll get into that. Overall, though, I think the Origin server is in a really good spot. There's a healthy population playing the game. The markets are flux with items. People are running the new dungeons, the new content, and having a good time overall. So first things first, the new content drop. I personally was very excited for. I was an old EQ1 player, and Fadewar was my favorite continent. I've never seen it in EQ2. This has been a fantastic expansion. People are saying this is the start of the golden age with EOF and ROK for EverQuest 2. So I'm very excited to experience this all for the very first time on the Origin server. With that new expansion, we ended up with 5 open world zones, a bunch of heroic instances and contested dungeons within them, and 5 new raids. Additionally, we got Kellythin, which is not a starting city, but does offer all the low-level content that it would offer had it been a starting city. Just like with any other TLE, there is no option when creating a character to start in Kellythin. Likewise, on the continent with Freeport Delir, Narek is in the city. Just be advised, the starting area around Narek is Darklight Wood, and Darklight Wood, they have not been able to fix the map yet. So when EOF dropped, it was a big point of contention that the maps and the overworld zones, the butcher blocks, the greater fate arcs, weren't working. It's still not working in Darklight Wood, unfortunately. I ran through the zone for the first time today. It is a beautiful, beautiful zone. Really hope they fix that map in the next couple weeks. But lots of new content, lots of things to do. And in addition to the new content, while the level cap did not increase, we got new AAs. I'm a Berserker, so you'll see my Berserker tree here. But we have a second tree that we can put 50 AAs into. And I say that with a caveat being that there is a bug that existed on the beta that was fixed on the beta, somehow made it into live again. So you can put up to 50 points in this first tree. Right now, you can put up to 70 points in the second tree. So as of this moment, hypothetically, you could put 30 in the first tree, 70 in the second tree. Unfortunately, for classes like mine, there's no reason to take from the first to put to the second. I've taken 1 point off at the moment and put it in the second, but I'm not complete with AAs yet. I'm sitting around 84. So 1 point, a couple points, I don't see an issue with that. Maybe if you go straight 30-70 split, you are kind of exploiting a bug. But when ROK drops, it will go to 70-70, where, as my understanding, where you can put 70 points in the first tree, 70 points in the second tree. There's a level cap increase, but there isn't a new AA tree from what I've been told. Again, this is my first time experiencing EverQuest 2. The next thing I wanted to show you is a huge improvement for the game on Origins is the broker. On the broker, previously, you could only view items that were for sale from your faction. If you were evil, you could view evil. If you were good, you could view good. That is no longer the case, as you can see. And we're looking at something from the Freeport side with a 20% commission. And here's something from Kinos with a 40% commission. I'm an evil character. I previously could not even view these items. I can now purchase these items and pay the 40% commission. Huge quality of life increase. Very much enjoying that. The next thing I want to talk about is solidified loams. Solidified loams were intended to be the rare crafting material for spells, or for fighter spells, for instance, between level 10 and level 20. Unfortunately, on Origins, I'm not sure if this was a bug or intended, rough coral, which is also used for the mage and priest spells, was used as the rare up until the drop of EOF. With EOF, this has been corrected. These are no longer worth copper. They're now worth gold. This is a huge, I think, quality of life for the ability for players from level 10 to 20 to get Adept 3s made. When every class used rough coral, it was extremely expensive to get your hands on rough coral, and Adept 3s were largely out of reach for newer or younger players. Now, while we are going through what EverQuest 2, I believe, experienced throughout its entire existence, is severe inflation of goods to the point where younger or newer players have trouble keeping up, this should help a little bit. Again, 8 gold is not unreasonable for a newer player. Level 10 to 20, it's hard to attain. So focus your more important spells or abilities, or combat arts, but you will. I think this is a good change. I think this is a good thing. And lastly, for huge improvements that we've seen in the game, a lot of content, even in older zones, got dropped. So for instance, I'm using as appearance armor right now is Warborn Blood Iron. Warborn Blood Iron were part of a recipe book that drops in Deathfist Citadel. It did not start dropping until EOF launched. I believe there's other instances of things like this where recipes are dropping in instances they previously didn't drop in. So I got the disco when I created my set of Warborn Blood Iron chestplate. Big shout out to my guildie Snack, who supplied me with the recipe and got the disco when they discovered the recipe. So I get to look kind of cool for now, and it's kind of unique because I'm one of the few people, if not one of the only 2, I think, on the server wearing it at the moment, because I crafted 2 sets when I crafted it. So pretty fun stuff. Now let's get into some of the bugs that we are plagued with. It's unfortunate, but I know that dev hours are limited. We went into a holiday period right after the EOF launch, so there are some major issues that we're all facing right now that are negatively impacting our gameplay. I want to go over them not as a complaint to the devs. These have all been documented on the forums. The devs know about this, and they're fixing them as fast as they can. I completely understand that. I also want to point out that many of the major issues have either been fixed or partially addressed since the launch of EOF, before the devs even went on to holiday. So huge shout out to Keith and the team at Daybreak for doing what they've done so far. I know releasing content in less than perfect state probably isn't ideal, but I also understand, coming from a software development background, the dev cycles are limited, hours are limited, there's only so much you can do, and we are hungry for new content. So appreciate everything that's happened so far on the Daybreak side. Hopefully we can move forward from here, see some more fixes in the coming weeks and months. So the biggest issue we need to discuss is the mitigation issue. So I'm a plate tank. I'm in a lot of fabled, some legendary, but also some fabled pieces of gear, fabled weapon, fabled shield, so on and so forth. Everything I have on right now is for mitigation. I sit around 5,300 mitigation, self-buffed, and it comes out to 45% mitigation, which is not very good for a plate tank. I know the devs are aware of this, but we're having trouble as plate tanks handling moments. When too many mobs get pulled, it's really, really rough. It's pretty much an automatic death unless you have a very competent utility classes in your group. Right now, very good, quick, on the mark chanters with mezzes are worth their weight in gold. Absolutely 100% vital to group content if you don't want to wipe a number of times, or unless you're an extremely careful tank. So this was partially addressed already, which I'm very appreciative for. I think the other plate tanks are very appreciative for as well. When the EOF launched, we were down around 36% mitigation. They've since upped it to around 45. Now the discussion quells on what's good for the future of the game. I think we can all, or at least I think people that I've discussed this with, can all partially agree that mitigation was too high during KOS. I was at mit cap very easily, which was 5,600. So with any healer's buffs, I'm over mit cap pretty easily. And that, for only a partially raid geared tank, probably isn't the answer either. I personally feel another 10 to 20% mitigation would feel really good on a plate tank, get me up to around 60 to 65% with when I'm fully raid geared. Would feel really, really good. It would make the content a little more challenging than it was in KOS, while also taking enough damage that the utility classes feel good again. Where you pull too many, you need the mez, you need the crowd control, you need to be careful. It raises your awareness a little bit, makes you a little more on point throughout all the content as you explore it. So personally, I'm thinking, if my case state of my current gear, if I could get up to like 55%, another 10% from where we're at, and then when I'm fully raid geared in KO or EOF material, we're talking more like 60 to 70 or 65%, sorry. 60 to 65%, I think would feel really, really good. Make the content challenging, but doable. As it currently sits, sitting at 45%, we're not really able to raid from what I've been reading from those that have tried. Guardians are having trouble with threat if you take the assassin or the swashbuckler out of their group to give them the hate transfer. But without a third healer in the main tank group, it's very hard to keep the main tank up. So Guardians have essentially been nullified. Zerkers can do a little better damage, keep threat a little more, without the need of an assassin or a swashbuckler. And 3 healers in their group, but now you've essentially eliminated another raid spot and added the need for another healer. We've already needed 6 to 7 healers in a raid. Now you're talking 7 to 8. It changes the comp a little bit. I think it's a little less fun, and it's also hard to find that many healers when a third of your raid has to be healers. The other big issues we're seeing posted on the forums, one of those is the vitality. From what I've read, and this could be inaccurate by now, but Vitality is working at 30% of what it should be working at. Vitality, of course, is the experience bonus that we get after a certain amount of time, where it's supposed to make your experience double. So if it's about 70% less than where it should be right now, so it's easy to burn through and you don't get as many levels as you used to. I'm really hoping this is an easy fix. I have no idea what goes into or how it got misconstrued when EOF dropped, but hopefully we can get that fixed. The second thing, and this from what I've been told is a bug, like I've already mentioned, you can put 70 points in the second tree right now. You can see it right down here behind my Cyclone's ability. It says out of 70. This I expect to get fixed relatively quickly. It was, like I said, it was already fixed on the beta. So that's a bug that needs to get worked out. The next thing we'll talk about is ring events. So ring events are not properly working. There was a much more widespread issue that affected most, if not all, ring events in the game for a short while. It seems with the server reset this last Tuesday, so 2 days ago now, that many of those got reset and that fixed them, but there are certain ring events that aren't working. One I was told about on Tuesday afternoon affected a set of guildies of mine, was the Death Fist Citadel final boss not working, though I did see in general chat today a Death Fist Citadel with a full clear zone if somebody wanted to pick up their statue there. So I'm not entirely sure which ring events are or are not working. If you have an idea of the ones that are bugged or the ones that are working, please comment down below. Share that information with others. I think having more repositories for more information for more players is a good thing. The next thing we'll talk about is going to be lore and legends. So the lore and legends that already existed in the game all work. The lore and legends that released with EOF do not. Or at least the items are dropping, the automatic updates are not working. So lore and legends Kobold, for instance, which you pick up from the docks in Butcher Block, you can kill 1,000 Kobold, you will not get your updates. But you will get the items that are found and studied for those lore and legends quests. You just won't get the automatic ones. So unfortunate, but like for instance, Treant was a lore and legends that's been in the game for a long time. There's now a new pickup point in Greater Fadark and a lot more Treants, so it's a lot easier to complete some of those older ones now. Another major issue that will need to be discussed, it doesn't affect raid so much as it affects soloing, but Coercer's Charm. So as my understanding from what it's been posted in the forums, that coercers, when they charm a pet, it no longer keeps its current attributes or its current class, it seems, and it turns into a hit point box that auto attacks. Apparently its abilities are no longer being utilized. So if you charm a wizard pet, for instance, it just runs up and auto attacks now. Weird bug. I'm not sure what would cause this, but it seems that they lose their class and become auto stick hit meat shields. And then the other one I'm going to discuss, the last issue I'm going to discuss right now that seems to be going on, is missing NPCs. Certain NPCs that I believe were in the game upon launch aren't in the game right now. The one that comes to mind most relevant for me is the Brel deity NPCs. They're supposed to be in the tents right at the top of the ramp in Butcher Block when you come up from the docks. Those tents and those huts seem to be empty. So there's some work that needs to be done to fix all the issues facing EOF on Origins right now. But I think overall, people are having fun. There's more people logged in over this Christmas break than I've seen in a long time. The guild that I'm in, at least, is growing. It's pretty freaking large at the moment. We've had upwards of 50 to 100 people online. We have 39 online right now. So there's just a lot going on Origins. It's a very healthy environment. If you haven't checked out Origins, highly encourage that you do so. Please reach out to people, join a guild. Some of the more beginner-friendly guilds are my own Sword and Staff or Tricksters. Does a very good job of helping low players or new players with their quests and grouping up and getting things done. Remember, Origins is not a solo-friendly server. You need a guild, you need some friends, you need some people to group up with. So this was my first iteration. It might be a little long-winded, but there's a lot of issues facing the game right now, unfortunately. But that's just for now. I'm very, very hopeful, and I'm very, very excited to see where we go from here. Once mitigation gets fixed and we get into some of these EOF raid zones and start downing some bosses, we'll be discussing strategies, how to do things, triggers, spells, things of that sort, so that we can all be on the same page and enjoy more content before the next content release. That's my goal. Again, I'm Man in Orbit. Hope you enjoyed this. Hope this was useful. Thank you.